It was Tuesday, 6:40 p.m. Cold, already dark. I'd stayed late at work and parked on the third level of the garage, across from my office building. It's not isolated, but it's not busy either once most people leave. I remember being tired, head down, scrolling through my phone as I walked. That's when I heard it. "Hey, excuse me." A man's voice, polite, slightly breathless. I looked up, mid-30s, hoodie, clean, not disheveled, holding a folded piece of paper. "Sorry," he said, smiling apologetically. "Do you know where 214 West Hill is?" My phone died. It's such a normal question, and that's the point. I almost answered automatically, but something about the paper caught my eye. It was blank. No address written on it, just folded, printed paper. He saw me glance at it. His smile tightened, just slightly. "It's on the other side," he added quickly, pointing vaguely towards the ramp. The other side of the ramp is poorly lit. No cameras, at least none visible. I said, "Sorry, I'm not sure," and kept walking. He followed, not close enough to grab me, just close enough to keep talking. "Hey, it's just around the corner, I think. Could you show me?" That's when the second thing hit me. He hadn't asked for directions. He'd asked me to show him. I felt my heartbeat pick up. "I'm in a hurry," I said, unlocking my car with my key fob from a distance. The headlights flashed. He looked at the car, not at me, at the car. Calculating distance, I reached my door, and then he moved, fast. He closed the space between us in 2 steps and grabbed my arm, not violently at first, just firm. "Please," he said quietly, and his voice was different now. "I just need help." That calm tone was worse than yelling. I yanked my arm back and tried to open my door, but he slammed it shut with his other hand. His grip tightened. That's when I saw it. A van, parked 2 rows over, engine running, slide door slightly open. There was someone inside. I saw movement. I didn't think. I reacted. I screamed. Not words, just noise, as loud as I could. He tried to cover my mouth, but I bit his hand hard enough to taste blood. He swore and shoved me backwards. I fell against the car door hard. For a split second, I thought he'd give up. He didn't. He grabbed my jacket and pulled. I remember thinking how quiet the garage suddenly felt. No other footsteps, no engines, just my breathing and his. Then headlights swept across the level, a car coming up the ramp. The light cut across his face, and I saw it clearly. Not panic, not fear, annoyance. Like I'd inconvenienced him. He let go instantly, took 2 steps back. Walked, not ran, towards the van. The sliding door shut, and he drove off before the other car fully entered the level. The driver who'd come up the ramp asked if I was okay. I couldn't answer at first. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped my keys twice. Police arrived within 10 minutes. I gave them everything. Description, height, hoodie colour, van, dark blue, no visible plates from my angle. They told me something I can't stop thinking about. There had been 2 attempted abductions in parking structures within the past month. Same approach. Lost, phone dead, need directions. Victims described a second person waiting in the vehicle nearby. Both times the attackers fled when interrupted. Both times they targeted people alone. Tired, distracted, looking down at their phones. Here's the part that keeps replaying in my head. If I hadn't looked at that piece of paper, if I hadn't noticed it was blank, if I'd stepped 1 row farther away from the car to show him, I would have been closer to that van than to my driver's seat. And once you're inside a vehicle you didn't choose to enter, it's not a struggle anymore. It's transport. The officer said something before he left that night. He said they rely on politeness. That hit me harder than anything else. They don't look like monsters. They look like inconvenience. Like someone you'd feel rude ignoring. I keep thinking about how automatic my response was to help. To guide, to be decent. And I hate that something so normal is what nearly got me killed. I don't park on level 3 anymore. I don't walk with my head down. And I don't answer strangers asking for directions in empty garages. Because sometimes the most dangerous words aren't threats. They're Can you show me? Audio log, personal recording, date February 2nd, time 1:14 a.m, subject home invasion, abduction attempt. I'm not doing this for a podcast. I'm doing this because the detective said trauma scrambles the memory, and I don't want to forget how close I came, because if I'd blacked out even 10 seconds longer, I don't think I'd be here. It was 11:37 p.m. I remember the exact time because I'd locked my front door and checked it twice. I live alone. Small rental house, quiet street, not the kind of place you'd expect something violent to happen. I was in the kitchen pouring water when the power went out. Not flickered. Out. Whole house. The refrigerator cut off, the overhead lights snapped to black. I stood there in silence for maybe 3 seconds before I heard it. Glass. Breaking. Not loud like a movie. Sharp. Close. From the back of the house. My bedroom window. My body reacted before my brain did. I ran to the front door. I didn't make it. He came from the hallway fast. Big, hooded up, face half covered. He slammed into me so hard I hit the wall and lost my breath instantly. I tried to scream, nothing came out. He grabbed my throat with one hand and squeezed. Not enough to crush, just enough to control. Quiet, he said calmly. That calm voice was what still wakes me up. He dragged me backward down the hallway. My heels scraped across the floor. I clawed at the wall. My nails tore off paint. He shoved me into the bedroom. The window was shattered inward. Cold air pouring in, curtains ripped down. There was a van parked in my backyard. I could see it through the broken frame. Engine running, side door open. There was someone else inside, watching. He zip-tied my wrists in seconds, tight, professional, not fumbling. This wasn't improvisation. This was practiced. I kicked him as hard as I could. He barely flinched. Just drove his elbow into my ribs. Something cracked. The pain was instant and blinding. He crouched down in front of me, pulled the fabric from his face just enough so I could see his mouth. He smiled. "You live alone," he said. Not a question, a fact. That's when I understood. He'd watched the house, tracked my routines, known exactly when to cut the power. He yanked me up by the arms and shoved me towards the broken window. I fought then, really fought. I twisted, slammed my head backwards into his nose. He cursed, real anger this time, and punched me in the side of the head. My ears rang, vision blurred. He dragged me halfway through the window frame. Glass cut into my stomach and thigh. I felt warmth immediately. Blood. The van doors slid wider. The second person shifted inside, waiting. That's when instinct kicked in harder than fear. I went limp. Completely. Dead weight. He lost leverage for a second, adjusting his grip. That half second saved me. I twisted hard, dropped my weight sideways, and we both crashed into the window frame. More glass shattered. He slipped on it. I rolled. Hands still zip-tied, ribs screaming. I scrambled towards my dresser. He grabbed my ankle and yanked me back so violently my chin smashed into the floor. I tasted blood. He started dragging me again, closer to the window, closer to the van. I remember thinking that if I go through this window, I disappear. No one sees backyard vans at midnight. No one hears engines over broken glass. My fingers brushed something under the dresser, metal, the baseball bat I keep in there. I'd almost forgotten it existed. I rolled onto my back and swung blindly. It connected, hard. Not a dramatic crack, just a heavy, solid thud against bone. He staggered, didn't fall, but loosened his grip. I swung again. This time I hit his shoulder. He roared. Not calm anymore. And lunged. I kicked upward and caught him square in the throat. He stumbled backwards into the broken window frame. Slipped. Hit the edge hard. There was a sickening sound, like air leaving a body. He collapsed, partially outside, partially inside. The second person in the van got out. I saw him clearly for the first time. Tall mast, moving forward fast towards the house. I didn't wait, I ran. Hands bound in front of me, I ran through the hallway, through the dark, and out through the front door, barefoot into the street. I screamed until my throat burned. Lights flicked on in neighbouring houses. A porch light snapped on across the road. The second man stopped at the corner of my house and looked towards the street, towards witnesses. He made a decision. He ran back to the van. They left him. The first man. Still crumpled in my bedroom window. They drove off without him. Police found him unconscious, bleeding from the head. He survived, which means he'd stand trial. They identified him as a suspect in 2 other disappearances. Both involved homes where the power had been cut first. Both victims never found. Police believe they were taken through back entry points to waiting vehicles, just like mine. I keep replaying the sound of the van engine idling. Steady, patient, like it had done this before. If I hadn't had that bat, if I hadn't gone limp, if the neighbour hadn't turned on that porch light, I wouldn't be recording this. They didn't rush, they weren't desperate, they were organised. And they were strong enough that once I crossed that window frame, it was over. I don't sleep in that house anymore. I don't sleep much at all, because the worst part isn't the violence, it's knowing they studied me first. They knew when I'd be alone, they knew when the street would be quiet, and they knew exactly how long it takes for someone to disappear from their own bedroom.